All right, this is Starkie Sours. Welcome again to another Nutrition Mission podcast brought to you by Clark's Nutrition and Natural Foods Market. So a lot of times on Fridays, I get to hang out and go to lunch with my buddy Oscar Shearer. And so I had him come in for some episodes before, and I just thought, man, I thought it was some of the best stuff that we've done here. And so I was like excited to have you come back. And we're going to talk about training today, okay? And so, you and I were chatting before. We talked about you have 5 training styles of things, or techniques.
5 training missions.
Okay, so can I name them?
Sure.
All right. Aging, lifestyle, physique contest, or what we call event specialization, whether it's a wedding or a birthday, or I want to look good because I'm 50 or something like that.
Right.
Okay. Body image. So give me a little details on body image.
Well, body image is really where somebody wants to look a certain way. They want to be curvier. They want fuller legs. They want, like ladies right now, it's very popular. They want bigger butts.
Right.
And some of them want smaller waists. They don't want that CrossFit look where you don't have a waist.
So almost like the hourglass.
Yeah,
look.
they want curves. And some of them want to have that CrossFit look where there's no curves.
Right.
And you're a six-pack and you're straight and you look very athletic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that look.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that.
Yeah.
Saying for that look. And then just people that just want to be in shape.
Yeah, people that they need exercise to feel better, or they need exercise to stay healthy, and they want to pay someone to make sure that they're following some kind of a regime that produces the results that they're looking for.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you some specifics, like maybe some technique things, maybe some diet things,
Sure.
And as well as maybe possible supplement in in each one of those 5 groups. But before we start, I want to talk about something else. And so here's the something else. So I'm a kid growing up doing the bodybuilding thing, paid $150 an hour to Vince Gironda back in 1979 to learn from him. It was hard to find people that actually had credibility and knowledge back in the day. I saw personal trainers starting to come on the market in the late 80s, early 90s. I thought it would be a fad. And it is nothing less than, no, it's not a fad. It's a reality.
It actually evolved so much, but originally, you're right. It looked like a celebrity saying, "Okay, look how I exercise."
Right.
I made a video. You can put a
Jane Fonda,
for example. Yes.
Right.
And then eventually, you started getting personal trainers that were specializing in sports. You have personal trainers that were specializing in et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Bodybuilding, basketball.
You name it, it's there.
And they. As the research was starting to accumulate, you have these sports journals and et cetera, and the trainers, the ones that are good, were actually reading them and adapting and adopting.
Right, the techniques and things that would be helpful for that.
Yes, and then they started getting serious results, and then it started to become a more mainstream kind of service.
And literally a science, too.
Yes.
Which has been great. So I kind of, one of my thoughts is personal training is a great tool. It's something, by the way, I think that if people hire the right personal trainer that can help dial them in, I think it's life-changing, and it kind of helps you stay in shape for the rest of your life. So making good spots on that. So I want to get a taste of what you do. You've been, by the way, we've been friends since like the late 90s.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, and I've watched you evolve throughout the years, owning a gym and doing the training and stuff on your own. Some of the health challenges we talked about in the first episode, but I want to just get in and talk about training. So all right. So obviously, I train, you train, things of that nature. I'm 61. You're what, 69?
Yeah, I'll be 70 in October.
70 in October.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm old.
And I don't either.
But the bottom line is, I am.
Yes, clearly.
Clearly. Yeah. You can see the gray hairs.
Well, 70 is a big number.
It's a big number. So let's say somebody's like in their 50s, 60s, or 70s. They're aging. And I talked about this in one of the podcasts earlier. Like, the best way to beat back aging is with a barbell, dumbbell, kettlebell, or something. I think it's, to me, the most important thing you can do. Okay. So what are you going to do with a guy that's aging? Are you going to like make him train 6 days a week, 1 day? How are you going to work with that?
Well, here's what would typically happen. Let's say you had not been training all this time, and now you're 60 and you want to get in shape.
And that's common.
Yes, it is very common because more and more older people realize, or more mature, 50 and over, realize that it's not over. You have plenty of time to get yourself in shape.
Right.
And more examples of people that are like Stallone, et cetera, that are just saying, it doesn't matter how old you get, you can stay in shape.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So the first thing that happens is I have to have an idea how restricted they have become.
Oh, wow. That's a good moment.
So I have to look at range of motion.
Do their shoulders hurt?
Well, no, not even that.
Do they work?
Do they work? Right. Like, for example, I have a 64-year-old that was in real good shape when he was younger, and he wants to get in shape now. And I looked at him, and I'm thinking, okay, he is moving like a board.
Stiff as can be.
Yeah, so I said, okay, first thing we're going to do is check range of motion on your shoulders. So healthy shoulder so that we make sure we don't have injuries, and so I know how far we can go. Healthy shoulder should be able to dislocate.
All the way around. Do a full 360 or 180 or whatever.
Exactly, right.
So like here, all the way back.
Pretty much. And the more the torso has to turn to adjust, that we know that that's how much it's degraded.
Got you.
Okay, so I take the guy and I go, okay, reach back.
Yeah, and it goes up 8 inches or 2 feet.
He's stuck.
And that's it. He's stuck.
It. He can't go any further.
Oh, wow.
Right. So what I do, of course, is I put them on a wall so they can't cheat. So they have their hands on a wall, and I go, okay, grab this sponge, and you're going to wipe the wall.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
And this 64-year-old got about that high, and he couldn't go any further.
And he's not wiping the wall.
That's as far as it goes.
He's getting a third of the wall.
That's his range of motion.
Right.
Then we have knee issues and we have hip issues. And I have to make sure that I'm not going to hurt this person. So I have to see what shape their knees are in. So the first thing I have them do, there's 2 separate things. I want to know, can they deliver oxygen and blood to large muscles without passing out or having a heart attack?
Right.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's huge.
So I'll first we'll look for range of motion. How close to the floor can you get before your knees hurt so much you don't want to do it?
I don't want to do it.
And let's put a box under there to hold you up. And I want to see how many times you can stand up before you can't breathe.
Right. So checking cardiovascular system, make sure that...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like to see, like a typical guy that's in good shape, could be 65 years old, and he should be able to... No, actually, I have a better example. I have an 83-year-old.
Nice.
So that's even a better example.
That's even a better example.
So I go to her house to train her.
Okay.
And she'll sit on the bottom step of the staircase.
Okay. That's pretty deep.
So she has that much range of motion.
That's a lot of range of motion.
And she can stand and sit 20 times in a row, 5 times. She could do 100 of them before she starts getting out of breath.
That's amazing.
See, now that's where it should be, because standing up isn't unreasonable.
Right.
It's something you should be able to do.
Squatting down and standing up, though, is an issue, right?
Well, yeah, but you should be able to do that all day long.
I agree.
If you can't, there's something wrong. And then that's where I address.
So kind of address it from there.
Yeah.
So let's say the first workout could literally be
nothing.
Just some of these assessment things.
That's pretty much it. And so we assess and figure out what we can and can't do. We put a plan together and we say, okay, don't worry about where we're starting. All we care
is the finish line.
That you're improving.
Yeah,
and you keep
every
improving.
day we're going to make improvements.
So don't judge where you start.
Right.
Judge, are you improving?
See, I think that's a critical. I don't care whether you're 18 or whether you're 80. That's a highly significant situation, because if you're always comparing to somebody, then you're just going to you're going to cause yourself injuries, problems, get discouraged,
exactly.
want to quit, everything else, right?
And the thing is that you really are just competing against yourself. You look in the mirror and you go, okay, I'm in this bad a shape because of you.
Right.
So
I take full credit.
Exactly. And it's okay, so this week we've baselined at this physical condition. In a month, if we didn't improve, it's because of you.
Right.
There you go. And that's the only thing that matters. So if you keep thinking in terms of I've got to make improvements, a year goes by, 2 years goes by, and before you know it, you're in great shape.
Yeah. So very much so in a situation like this, consistency makes
absolutely
a big difference.
And the older you are, the more important the consistency is.
Gotcha.
Because you could probably explain this better than I can from the physiology or biochemistry component or aspect, right? But basically, here's the way I view it. I have an 18-year-old, and I have him run 10 miles.
Right.
Okay. In about a month, I bring him back, and he's down to 8 miles, and it's going to take him 2 days to get back up to 10. Okay.
Right.
I've got a 50-year-old who started out being able to run a half mile, and he's worked his way all the way to 10 miles. He takes 1 week off, and in 1 week, he now can only run 5.
The adaptability is insane.
So his workouts or the upkeep of his physical condition has to be closer together.
Much closer.
Because your body will
atrophy.
Yeah, see, the way I view it is like this. I think as you get older, your body is constantly trying to figure out what it does not have to maintain so it can be more efficient about its resources.
What's the easiest way for me to not expend calories?
Exactly.
Let's get rid of those quad muscles. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that.
Anything
the
we're
quicker
not
I can
using,
get rid of it, the better it is.
Exactly. And so basically what happens, I think it's part of your survival instinct.
It is.
That a survival mechanism, not instinct, that the resources available to you as you're older, physiologically and physically, start
declining.
They decline.
Yes.
And so the body naturally is going, okay, so we don't have to maintain
biceps,
hair color.
Whatever.
It can go gray.
Yeah,
we
let it
don't
go.
have to maintain the skin. It can start to wrinkle.
Yeah, we're good with that.
And it'll just, you don't need that much bicep. We don't need it.
Yeah, get rid of it.
It'll just get smaller. And it happens so fast.
Absolutely.
As you get older, it happens faster
You
and
hit
faster.
60, it starts accelerating at a much faster pace.
You can just watch it
52,
deteriorate.
yes.
Yeah.
You just wake up and you're deteriorating.
Pretty
so
much.
as we would call it, a negative catabolic state. So
Yes.
you degenerate. All right, so typical workout for an aging guy, how many days a week typically, something like that?
I have two opinions.
Yeah.
If the person is athletic,
right,
and they can generate intensity in their workouts, and the way I gauge that is, I'll say, okay, so what's the maximum heart rate?
Right.
You're 50 years old, so we want to get your heart rate up to about 170 max.
That's a good spot. Yeah.
Okay, now, so we work out, and you're able to generate 125.
Right.
Okay, we've got a lot of physical conditioning, athletic conditioning that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
So that person probably needs to come in. They can't generate enough intensity to require that much.
So you're going to have more frequency.
Exactly. So they would come in, let's say 4 and even 5 days a week.
At first.
And then as the intensity of their workouts goes up, they need more recovery, more regeneration.
Yep. So now we're down to 3 days a week for maintenance and growth, and we're good.
And actually, the perfect situation is where they're in good shape and they're working out 3 days a week.
Yeah, perfect.
And in some cases, I even do 2 days a week.
Yeah, which is perfect.
Yes.
Yep. So if you're going to talk, real quick, so significance on diet for the aging person, what are some macronutrient significance? Proteins, fats, carbs. What's a significant factor for an aging person? I suggest always extra protein because it's needed as we get older.
Yeah, and we tend to...
Do you see that?
Yeah, I do, although the description of it is all over the place.
Yes.
So it's hard to use the same words and have a different meaning and people to understand what you're saying.
Correct.
So, for example, high protein. Okay, when we talk about high protein, we can't look at the current market that sells protein.
Okay.
They're giving you way too much protein.
Okay.
Okay. You have to back off and say, okay, what does the WHO say?
Well, it says 80 grams once you get over 60.
Well, the World Health Organization
Right.
says that you need about 25% of your muscle mass in protein. So
Okay.
if I weighed 200 pounds, I should have 25 grams of protein.
Okay.
Now, that's minimum maintenance.
Right.
Now, if I'm exercising...
That's to not atrophy.
To not atrophy. And if I'm exercising additionally, I'm going to need more.
Oh, yeah, significantly.
Yeah. And so if you were 200 pounds, let's take a 100-pound person. Let's take a smaller female.
Sure.
So she's 100 pounds. The WHO says she needs about 25 grams of protein.
Right.
50 grams of protein to 75 grams of protein is more than enough.
More than enough to make it happen.
So now she needs to get full. Well, depending on how much body fat she likes, we're going to have to be careful about sugar.
Yeah, it's gone.
And not so much that it has to be gone, because...
Extremely limited?
Not even that.
Okay.
Do you remember metabolic typing?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So basically, everybody processes the food a little differently. So for one person, higher sugar,
yeah,
no problem.
Yeah.
For the other person, the same amount of sugar, they're fat.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And so you have to be aware of who you are and realistically
and
look in the mirror and
working.
say, okay, so my waist should be 34 inches. Now I'm eating like this and it's 35. Okay, I can't fool myself. That's not working.
It's not working.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that component, right? That you have to be...
You kind of got to work through that and find out
There's a little
what
bit
works.
of trial and error, and you have to see how sensitive you are to sugar and
I kind of feel like that's going to be in a lot of the other situations we talk about.
Absolutely, yeah.
So then, finalize the aging guy supplement. Any particular supplement that makes sense? Obviously, a multivitamin.
Multivitamin would be at the top.
Fill the gaps.
Yeah.
Essential fatty acids.
Essential fatty acids would be an excellent one.
Okay.
Essential oils or whatever you want to call that, right?
Oils or fatty acids.
And in addition to that, you need fruits and vegetables.
Right.
The more colors, the better.
Give me all the colors.
What
about
colors?
A joint supplement?
Well, joint supplements are a little tricky.
Yeah.
Because I haven't found to my satisfaction anything that really, really works.
What about collagen?
Collagen works, but that's a hard one, right? Because my best experience where I'm seeing people actually physically improve, we're doing custom homemade collagen.
So doing the bone broth,
we're doing
and stuff like that.
An actual homemade bone broth, and they start improving quickly.
Yeah, because you're going to get the glucosamines and everything there, not just the
protein.
protein.
It's all high bioavailability, and this is the difficulty in discussing things is bioavailability. There's no label that says, "Oh,
we check bioavailability."
So here's a really good example. Probably, let's see, when I still had my gym, so we'd be back in the early 90s. Oh no, hold on. Let's see, where would we be?
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s. So in the early 2000s, there was a guy that went to. I'm not going to even say the name of the place, but it would be like one of your nutrition shops where they have shelves and shelves of proteins.
Shelves and stuff, yeah.
And so what he did is he was from a lab, and he went in and he bought one of each protein.
Right.
And then they tested it for bioavailability.
Right.
So the shock was that something real popular, can I use names?
Sure.
Okay, so muscle milk, for example.
Right.
Extremely popular because it tastes so good.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see the bioavailability was 38%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I consume 100 grams of protein from muscle milk, my body can use 38.
Right.
That's really important because where does the rest of it go?
Right. Well, you know where the rest of it's going.
Right where you don't want it.
Either where you don't want it or out the toilet.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously high bioavailability becomes critical.
Yeah. So
something that you're actually going to digest and actually assimilate.
So this is where the integrity of the manufacturer
and also the ingredients.
And the ingredients.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I want to talk lifestyle. So this is another category that you work with. So let me put up a lifestyle person for you, okay? Leslie comes into my store. She's been coming into the store since I was 21 years old. And so, I don't know, this was probably like 2007-ish, something like that. So by that point, so let's see, I'm like 40 some odd years old, right? And so she comes in and she wants to talk about calcium. Her mom had problems with complications with osteoporosis, and she was in osteoporotic situations at this point. She used every calcium supplement and that could be happened. She's on her way into the store, coming through the front door. She's got a cast on her left foot. And she says to me, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here." I go, "Really? What's going on?" She goes, "I broke my foot." "Well, how'd you break your foot?" She goes, "I was just walking the other day and broke my foot because I have osteoporosis." I go, and she goes, "I want to talk to you about the best calcium." I go, "Leslie, almost half the calciums that are in my store are because of you. I've bought every calcium you ever asked me about and sold it, and we sold it to hundreds of people. I'm telling you, I'm kicking you out of the store. You can't come in. until you go to Oscar's gym and sign up
And I
start
remember-
working
actually,
out.
I remember
And I
her.
called you up and I said, I'm sending you to this lady. I go, you're like a Lamborghini with the best gas, the best oil, the shiniest polished interior, exterior, and you won't turn on the engine because you won't work out. Okay, so then you ask me every day, what's the best Lamborghini? Knock it off and go over there. I'm telling you, you can't come in the store. I call you up, she goes in there, and she starts working out. A year later, we use some supplements.
We did.
And no more osteoporosis.
And I remember her very well.
Right.
So I had to explain to her, very much in layman's terms, and she was a sweetheart. That's why
she's amazing.
That's why I remember her.
Oh, yeah, she's the greatest person ever.
So she had cracked a finger, and she had just healed from cracking her forearm. Okay.
And now she's broken her foot.
Okay, so I said, okay.
Walking, I might add.
Once this foot is healed and you've been released for exercise in a gym, we're going to do very little in here. You're going to come in here and I'm going to have you leg press as much weight as you can possibly hold, and you're not going to bring the weight down. All I want is your bones to feel the weight.
Feel the tension.
I don't need your
you don't need muscle movement.
I don't need the muscles to do anything except hold your bones steady while the weight is there.
Literally, so we're just going to hold weight with bones.
So basically what I had her do, and I've done this with numbers of older ladies that have osteoporosis. I have them, we don't even take the locks off. From the lock up, about three.
Push it up an inch or two.
Just push it up an inch or two, 1,001, 1,002, bring it back down. Push it up an inch or two, 1,001, 1,002. And then their bones are feeling all the weight that I put on there. But their muscles don't have to hold it because I'm not making them actually move it.
Yeah, not at this point. There's no sense.
In my mind, the bones are now signaling the liver and saying, I need calcium.
And I need help now.
I need calcium now. So now the calcium that you're consuming has got a place to go because it's being demanded.
It's almost like us pouring more gas into the Lamborghini
but I was
and it's spilling over the tank and there's nowhere to go.
But it's a little more complicated than that. And check me if I'm wrong.
I doubt it.
Okay, so here's this bone structure. And if you go to your typical healthcare, they'll fill the holes with calcium.
Sure.
Statins, for example. They just push calcium into the holes.
Yeah, do whatever we can do.
Okay. However, that does not contribute to the strength of a bone.
So here's what happens is, yes, you calcify, but they get brittle.
Yes, and you get brittle because there's no lattice structure.
Exactly.
So when the bone is actually asking for calcium, it essentially is creating little trusses everywhere and says, okay, I need a little piece for right here. I need a little piece for right here.
So trusses, let's explain to the audience what a truss is. That's your structure of your roof and your structure of your house.
Let's look at a beehive.
You're a construction worker by trade originally.
So you look at a beehive, how they build with those thin little things, and it all just holds itself,
hexagonal,
So that's what your bones are trying to do.
They're trying to build those.
When they're in charge.
Yes.
If you're pushing stuff in, none of that happens.
No.
Okay.
You just get mush.
Pretty much.
All right. So that's an example of lifestyle situation. Leslie literally starts off just in a situation of holding things up, maybe doing a little of this, a little bit of that. And I mean, I think she was only going 2 days a week, right?
That's all she needed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then a year later,
actually, it was about 2 years.
Is it 2 years?
And
total?
her osteoporosis was declining.
Right.
And about a year, we made it hold.
Right.
And then the second year, we actually
raised it
back up.
And she's good to go.
Yeah.
Comes in the store still. Awesome to hear the story. Still working out. Still occasionally getting a hold of you doing the deal. Yes.
Excellent. And then a different lifestyle adjustment would be, for example, you're familiar with the idea of 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day.
Right.
Okay. In my mind, and the reading that I've done, it takes very light taps for the organs to clean themselves.
Yes, it does.
7,000 to 10,000 taps a day, and the organs keep cleaning themselves and cleaning themselves.
So let's talk about that. Detoxification. People come in the store, they want to use herbs, they do things. Great stuff. Basically activate the liver, activate the enzyme system.
You don't mind if I sneak one of these in here, do you?
Eat while you're waiting. And so ultimately what that does is it stimulates the body. But one of the other things that people forget in this process of taking those steps, you have a lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system, the vessels of the lymphatic system, is 2 to 3 times the length of the vascular system. But it doesn't have a heart to pump it. So those steps and that pounding is what makes the lymphatic system like release not only the toxins, but to circulate the toxins out of the cells and bring it to the body to be able to detox.
And hold that right there. A lot of the reading that I've done, handed to me by Emmerich Delzek, who's very, very good at this stuff.
Guy's so amazing.
Is that the pounding doesn't even need to be pounding, just steps.
Just little taps.
Little taps.
Little taps.
And this is the amazing thing, is that we're actually built to self-clean.
Imagine that God would do that.
I'm telling you, he thought this out carefully.
Think about the master architect of the human body. The more you know about the human body,
the more incredible it is.
Not only the more incredible, you know that there's a master designer.
There are too many components working together to get everything done.
It's mathematically impossible.
So it would be equivalent to the concept of having a car that every time you touch the brakes, it recharges the battery.
Right.
But it doesn't just do that. It retunes itself.
Right.
It readjusts itself.
It puts rubber on the tires.
It puts rubber on the tires. It just everything keeps fixing itself.
Right. And you have an endless car.
There you go.
Right. It doesn't exist, does it?
And at some point, 70, 80, then it starts to slow down.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So, as you know, one of the first laws of scientific, scientific laws is the law of entropy, which is everything goes from an organized state to a disorganized state. Unless you're lifting weights, unless you're feeding yourself, you're going to literally atrophy and go to a disorganized state at a rapid pace unless you're changing it. All right, let's do this. I'm looking at the time. We got time at least for one more. I want to talk about physique contest and also event planning.
Okay.
So what I want to know about that, once again, you're taking this person, you're structuring them, you're changing them. You're going to use some supplements. You're going to use diet. You're going to do this. Duration of time.
So here's how I approach that. You tell me. December 1st.
Right.
I have this event.
Right.
And I need to look amazing for
Right.
it. And you're showing me a picture of kind of what you want to look like.
Yeah, here's this person. I like this idealistic idea.
And so
first of all, could you be that person?
My job first is to go, okay, let me reverse engineer this. There they are looking exactly the way they said.
Right.
Okay, how much time is it going to take to actually get them there? Oh, that's a little too much time. You ain't going to make it.
You're right. You want 6 weeks? That ain't going to happen.
That ain't going to happen.
But we can make a difference in 6 weeks.
Exactly.
Right.
So for these events, we reverse engineer and then say, okay, we got plenty of time. We could do this casually. We don't have very much time. It's going to have to be really aggressive.
Right.
And so how aggressive we deal with the physique, the recomposition, is really about how much time do we have.
How much time do we have?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And then to evaluate the requirements for that finished product.
Yeah, and the supplement needs get adjusted along the way.
I'm not there yet. So the requirements of the finished product, let's say it was bodybuilding, right? And you were going to compete in the over 60 category of blah, blah, blah.
Muscle
right?
Beach like in 3 weeks.
For example, right?
3 weeks. It's going to happen in 3 weeks.
And let's say I was working with you. I'd say, okay, for you to be a little more competitive, we need a little more shoulders. So we're going to over-focus on the shoulders.
Yep.
To make you more competitive. So those additional components, and then we have supplements and diet that go with that.
Okay, cool. All right. I want to talk about just the person. And by the way, one of the other ones is body image, but I want to kind of mold these together because I'm looking at the time. So body image and in shape. Obviously, so body image is trying to look a specific look, as we were talking earlier.
Exactly.
Maybe a curvier physique.
Maybe smaller.
Glutes,
maybe larger.
Maybe tinier, this or that. Physique augmentation, as it's called. I think this can sometimes, depending on the goal, be one of the biggest challenges in your area.
It is. And it's an area that I'm particularly good at. And so I pretty much dub that vanity training.
Okay. That's a good name.
So basically, you want to look in the mirror and be happy. And you're looking in the mirror now and you're not satisfied. So what do we have to do to you to make you satisfied?
Tweak.
Exactly. And then we'll put a plan together. and I may remove certain exercises from your repertoire, and I may add certain exercises so that your body starts to mold and starts to look like that image that you want.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is an area where you really specialize and have done really well with. I've seen physiques throughout the years, or people that just wanted to look different, did a great job on that. So
the before and after, sometimes you can't believe it's the same person.
Can't believe it's the same person. Absolutely. Finally, somebody wants to get in shape. How do they start?
So it's similar to physique recomposition, except actually we're dealing with cardiovascular and athleticism.
Gotcha.
So for that person, what we need to do is get them moving, and get them moving relative to the
Task
activities and
Okay.
tasks that they intend to do that they want to feel more athletic for.
Gotcha.
So something, for example,
Let's do this. Let's just have fun with this. Let's take my wife.
Okay.
She's gone through cancer treatment 3 times. So 2018, she went through treatment. 2019, she's done. Although she looks better, because I had her doing collagens and all sorts of different stuff. Actually, in this particular situation, she gained her muscle back during the treatment as opposed to having it gain afterwards. But she was weak in her legs. Okay?
Mhm.
And she needed to get back in shape. So she says to me, what should I do? I go, let's walk around the block.
that's where you want to start.
That's where we got.
Yep.
Right?
That's where you would start. You'd say, okay, we need to do some walking. And then there's some evaluation that says, okay, how do the calves look? How do the Achilles look? How do the hamstrings look? How do the glutes look? Are they all strong enough to function properly as a team?
Right.
And so it may be, let's say, that their hams are underdeveloped. And so they've atrophied more because they don't get them for free with their genetics.
Right.
But their quads
Are decent.
are holding up okay because genetically they get quads.
Right.
So now in the gym, we're probably going to address the hams twice a week and the quads only once a week.
Yeah.
And we'll slowly get them balanced out to where they can start to feel athletically comfortable with the activities that they want to be involved in.
Okay.
Now, in some cases, away from your wife, it's more basic and more extreme at the same time. I have a 68-year-old who was having trouble getting off the floor and
Legitimately
said
so.
and was telling me, I just would like to be able to play with my grandchildren
Right.
on the living room floor
Exactly.
without everything hurting.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
I hear that all the time.
okay, and so basically we said, okay, we got to get your knees moving. We got to get your shoulders moving. We got to get your back moving. And once it starts to move, we're going to start strength training. And then we're going to work on coordination. And now you're going to hate what comes next because it's going to hurt like crazy. I'm going to drop you to the floor and make you get up. Over and over and over and over. You're going to hate it.
Almost like doing a Turkish get up.
Yeah. So basically the person, it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a workout.
And they've got to do it enough times to where it doesn't hurt so much.
Exactly. So you're conditioning them for that movement.
And now they can get off the floor, no problem. They don't need anybody to help them. Now they can play with the kids. They can wrestle a little. They can do all kinds of things that they wanted to do.
Starts with walking, then it comes to getting off the floor.
But
some
walking
strength
is-
training, taking care of some stuff. Walking's a foundation.
Walking is a big one.
Yeah.
I think we were designed to walk quite a bit. So when we don't walk, we screw a lot of things up.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. It's funny because I'll go for a walk usually every day and just, mind you, I work on my feet all the time, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's completely different. All right. I think that's all
Okay.
the 5 categories we talked about. I appreciate you being on
Well,
the show.
I appreciate you asking.
I just think it's great to get some wisdom and all the years that you've spent in the gym and all that computer work that you did for years and that computer brain got put into body situations.
Being a level 3 engineer for so many years,
So real quick.
everything had to be structured.
So for me, by the way, level 3 means nothing.
Okay.
Is there a scale of 20?
It goes,
Is it a scale of 2?
It's level 1, level 2, level 3.
So level 3 is being the top. Okay,
Pretty
so
much,
that
yeah.
makes better sense. Top engineer.
So basically, you've got to organize whatever projects you're working on so that the people directly underneath you don't get lost.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
so when I got
That
in,
mentality, though.
that mentality
has
carried
gone
over
into
very well. Yes.
Exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I was oftentimes we sit down to lunch and we talk about different things, and you would actually put together, I could see you forming these ideals into places. Oh, that fits there, that fits there, that fits there. So I'll challenge you. I don't, obviously we'll probably end up doing another podcast somewhere along the line, but I'm going to challenge you to finish that book.
Okay.
All right, Oscar, thanks for being on. Thanks again for watching another Nutrition Mission episode here at Clark's Nutrition and Natural Foods Market.